Direct object. What's the direct object in the sentence? Well, the direct object is the thing or the person, okay, that receives the action. Very good. Sorry about that. Okay. So again, the direct object, okay, it's who or what receives the action in the sentence, okay? For example, I eat chicken. I is the subject, eat is the verb, and chicken. So chicken is the direct object, okay? It's the thing that is receiving the action in the sentence. Perfect. The direct object can answer the question what, okay, or who is receiving the action in the sentence. There are certain verbs that we have to take into consideration when we talk about the direct object. These verbs are transitive or intransitive verbs. What's the difference? For the transitive verbs, they always need an object immediately after, okay, to express a complete idea. So immediately after the transitive verbs, you need to have an object. So that means there is something that is receiving the action after, okay? My daughter drove the car. Because if we only put my daughter drove, then it wouldn't make sense. It's not a complete idea. So the transitive verbs, okay, in this case, to drive, it needs the object after for it to make sense, okay, for it to express a complete thought. He plays the drum. If we put he plays, okay, it might be lacking some kind of information because you might ask yourself, well, what is he playing? No, what did he play? So they need an object immediately after. Good. For the intransitive verbs, these do not need an object, okay, immediately after to express a complete idea. For example, the baby cried. If someone said to you, the baby cried, you would understand what they're saying. You don't need an object after, okay, for the sentence to make sense, okay? The man screamed. If someone said that to you, you would understand. You don't need anything immediately after the verb for it to make sense, okay? Perfect. Note for the prepositions. The baby cried because he was hungry. If you only say the baby cried, it makes sense. But you can choose to give more information, okay, by using a preposition or by adding extra information to the sentence. So the baby cried because he was hungry. Or the man screamed at the woman, okay? But remember, transitive verbs, you need an object directly after. In transitive verbs, you don't need an object after for it to express a complete thought. Perfect. Okay. Now, the indirect object. So remember, for the object or object pronouns in English, we have direct, okay, or indirect. Direct is typically what, okay, receives the action. The indirect object, okay, is normally referred to the person that receives the action in the sentence. So, indirect object is the person that receives the direct object in the sentence. What does this mean? Let's use the verb to give, okay? I gave the money to him. I is the subject, gave is the verb, the money is the direct object, to him is the indirect object. So that's the easiest way to identify when we use the direct object or the indirect object. The direct object is normally the thing, okay, that receives the action. The indirect object is the person that receives the action of the direct object, okay? Or an easier way to remember this is it's the person, okay, that receives the action in the sentence. So I gave the money to him. Or we can also say, I gave him the money. Perfect. Let's check another verb. Bring. He brought the bag to her. He is the subject, brought is the verb, the bag is the direct object, to her is the indirect object. Or we can also say he brought her the bag. Perfect. Another verb is to owe. She owes some money to the bank. So she is the subject, owes is the verb, some money is the direct object, to the bank, okay, is the indirect object. We can also say she owes the bank some money. Another verb that we can use is loan. I loan the chair to him. So I, the subject, loan, okay, the verb, the chair, the direct object, to him is the indirect object. And we can also say, I loan him the chair. So the easiest way to remember, direct object is the thing that is receiving the action in the sentence. The indirect object is the person that is receiving the action in the sentence. Perfect. Now, let's move on with the next part of the course in a moment.